We don't need to talk about Jennifer Aniston. I don't know. That's just where we began. What we need to talk about right off the bat. Good morning,
Immediately.
Hi,
Jimmy. I want everybody to have their copies in hand.
I'm grinding my teeth.
This is infuriating.
It's everything that is wrong with radio and with the political correctness and the way corporations think.
No, we've talked about radio in the past and gotten. Opie had a little chat in the corner because we got a little honest with radio.
Yeah, they don't like when you're honest.
Opie got a little talking to.
Yeah.
By Tom.
Yeah.
Our GM.
Why me? I don't know, because Ant was doing the talking as well, and Jimmy was as well. But for some reason...
I ran to the bathroom, and Jimmy shoved his face into a cereal bowl.
No. You're trying to make it sound cool. You guys were sitting right here, and he pointed at me like I'm the troublemaker and dragged me into the corner. And I'm like, but what about Ed? He was right there in the conversation. He probably talked more about the subject than I did.
But I hit the bell.
And I was just teaching, the company, some lessons.
Yeah, a couple of things. Because I see what's going to happen with this whole thing eventually. Yeah.
If they don't wake up and stop lawyering the hell out of radio, especially talk radio.
So you got to understand the lawyers are what is screwing up radio. It's not like management at the radio stations get upset when you talk ill of radio itself because they say, look, we're trying to run a business here. So if you badmouth it, it's harder for us to run business. All right, I'll be the corporate guy. I could even understand that. Coming from the corporate level, I can understand that. What I don't understand is the involvement of lawyers in radio, to the point where they should be involved when a station wants to buy another station. They should be involved in that deal. They should be involved in litigation for the FCC, things like that. But when their opinions and what they feel are legal little wranglings filter down to what we do, which is the entertainment portion, the product that is pumped out of these stations, there is a huge, huge problem.
Yeah, and, the lawyer's word, they come up with these suggestions, okay? And no one pushes back. That's what amazes me. No one else in corporate goes, well, that's all well and good that you've come out with this pamphlet, Words, Hurt, and Harm, but you're handcuffing my personalities here.
Yeah.
We need a middle ground.
Does anyone talk to these people?
But there's no middle ground anymore. It's the lawyers run radio. I was telling Anthony in the office just before the show, when FM radio came about, and Ann knows this, and Jimmy knows this, it was a lot different. FM radio came about in like the late 60s, mid to late 60s, let's say, when it really started getting some attention.
Came into its own, yeah.
And you know what it was? FM radio? It was a bunch of guys that got together and they smoked a lot of pot and did other drugs, and they went on the air and played what they liked. There were no playlists, there were no lawyers, there were no sales guys.
That was all for AM radio.
Yeah. Well, that's why FM became so popular.
Yeah, people got so sick of dealing with AM radio because it became like this corporate entity, and it had a lot of rules. It was very suit and tie.
Yeah. And
boring. It became boring.
Right.
Yeah, so boring. FM, rose to the top because, wow, this is different. These guys are playing whatever the hell they want, and they sound effed up, man.
Yeah.
And I was telling Ann a quick story when I first started on radio, and when I was at WCMF as a nobody, one of my jobs, they were celebrating their 20th year as a radio station, and it was my job to kind of call up all these old jocks around America and get old air checks. And then they would have it was called the WCMF moment, 20 years of radio, whatever, okay? And then you would play a piece of an air check from back in the day. And I would go through these air checks, and these guys would just be in the studio, one after another, just like, oh, wow, it's snowing outside, wow.
That was a break.
Yeah, and there would be dead air and stuff because the guy's just staring out the window and looking at the snow because, he had too much tree before he started his show.
Yeah.
But it made for some amazing radio. So it went from that, I know that's only one example, to now 25, 30 years later, we get a pamphlet called Words, Hurt, and Harm.
Yeah, this is called Words, Hurt, and Harm. Now, the lawyers used to also put out a lot of things that had FCC rules in it. That's what we used to get, because you had to adhere to those. And those wound up getting a little much, too. But they'd have examples in there, and it was all FCC. And these were rules that the government had put in place that we had to adhere to, that the lawyers then told us what we had to do.
And as frustrating as that was, we had no choice, as you said, because the government came up with these rules.
These, which we hold in our hands right now, have nothing to do with the FCC, with the government regulations, or anything. This is against the First Amendment. What I hold in my hand right here is communism.
We didn't read the rest of the title, Ant.
Yeah, I know.
Important.
Yeah, Words, Hurt, and Harm, a primer for on-air talent and programming personnel. How to develop greater awareness of and learn to avoid the use of racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs.
And this from September of 2006, so it's very recent for lawyers, you know.
Well,
we just get this in our hands. I'm sure it had to be revised 8,000 times.
Yeah.
They had a bill, CBS, millions of dollars for every little word that they changed.
I guess they were bored down there in Washington and was like, oh my God, we better make ourselves look useful here. What do you got over there?
And then at the very first page, right at the top, the same title in red type. Just in case you missed it, Words, Hurt, and Harm.
Yeah.
A primer for on-air talent, blah, 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 racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs.
Right.
Why should you be aware of racial and ethnic stereotypes? That's the first headline right here. What radio personalities say on the air significantly impacts the way their listeners perceive people who live in their communities. Given your important roles in the mass media as on-air talent and the programming personnel who support them, you have the unique ability to perpetuate and reinforce racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs, or to ameliorate the harm they cause by challenging your listeners' perceptions. So we can do both. We have the power. We are God. Become more aware of racial and ethnic stereotypes. Becoming will help you to properly use the special power you possess to influence the thinking of your listeners. We have like Jedi mind tricks. We can influence Where's my beep?
Well, I didn't realize that we had such power, though.
Yeah, well, sure.
Oh,
yeah,
please.
Wait till you get to the fill in the blank part of this.
We have the power. That didn't steal your car. These are not the you're looking for.
Hey, keep it fair. Keep it fair.
Keep it fair, huh? Keep it fair.
Let's spread it out a little bit today.
How are racial and ethnic stereotypes created? Wait, there's something fun here I missed. Imagine that you're walking down a dark street alone. In one scenario, a little old lady shuffles along, comes toward you. Would you cross the street? Would you hold your bag a little closer to your body? In another scenario, a young man struts down the street, ding ding, key word, down the street towards you. What does the young man look like? What would your reaction, be different? If so, why? See, they're questioning us.
Oh my God.
This has nothing to do with what's being broadcast. This is like a sensitivity thing, like a real liberal kind of.
Of course it is.
You're getting your brains bashed in kind of.
This gives a bad name to even liberals. This is beyond liberal.
Look, lawyers. Here's the real deal. You're in Washington in an office building. You probably get picked up in a car service or whatever it is when you leave your nice building and go to your nice house that is built on the dollars that you make writing this drivel.
It is garbage.
We are out on the street in the mornings. And believe me, if I see a young black man walking toward the street, down the street toward me, and worse yet, if I see a few of them, I am automatically putting myself in defensive mode and taking appropriate action to make myself as safe as possible, regardless. They could be a church group. I don't want to find that out.
And that will not change in our lifetime. and how it pertains to our radio show, we have to discuss what's going on out there in the real world. That's what's happening.
If a little old lady is walking down the street, I'm not going to care, because 50 little old ladies weren't in Union Square last night stabbing each other. It was gang violence. And if you read off the names in the paper in today's Daily News of the Post...
There's not one Mildred among them.
I didn't see one Millie. I didn't see a Gertrude.
Right.
They weren't stabbing each other.
Right.
I would love to know how many of these vomit bag lawyers who work in D.C. actually walk out of their office and take a stroll down some of the lovely D.C. streets.
Take a stroll down D.C., and I'm not talking about around the monuments and the nice offices.
Not a strut among them.
No strutting.
When they're walking to their lunches.
And to answer the question, imagine you're walking down the street alone. In one scenario, a little old lady shuffles and comes towards you. Would you cross the street? No, I'd rape her.
Oh, Jesus. Right out my nose.
And she could stereotype me. White men with
you
breathe right
stereotype. Men with breathe right strips.
All right, where are we?
How are racial and ethnic stereotypes created?
Oh, I love this one.
Stereotypes are created by historical and societal processes. They develop when people are unable or unwilling to obtain all of the information needed to make fair and informed judgments about others. So you're just ignorant people. Stereotypes also evolve out of fear of persons from minority groups who may look or act differently than the majority.
No, that's not true.
It is absolutely not true.
No one is afraid of generous Jewish people.
Right.
Or of Asians who are great drivers, or blacks in college. Shall we keep going? No one's afraid of the exceptions to the rule, you idiots.
And Asians excel in math.
Yes, they do.
They do. They make great students. They have a great work ethic, the Asian people. But that we'll get to later, where it says even good stereotype. Why should you avoid good stereotypes? That's in here. A big headline. Why should you avoid good stereotypes?
Yeah, well.
That's a little later in the program.
Children begin to acquire prejudices.
I want to try this on the front here. This is wrong what they said. How they develop when people are unwilling or unable to obtain all the information needed to make fair and informed judgments. No. And stereotypes are obtained when people are just not deluding themselves and they're just stating what they have observed. That's how you pick up a stereotype, when you've watched enough people of the same group who don't know each other behave exactly the same way in different circumstances, then a stereotype is born.
It's not everyone in a group.
Right.
We're not stupid here. It's not everybody in a certain racial group or whatever group you want to put them in. Sexual orientation. We're not talking about every person here. But a stereotype can only be made and perpetuated if it's based in some fact. For the love of God, they don't pop out of nowhere.
Well, according to the pamphlet, children begin to acquire prejudices and stereotypes because they are taught directly and indirectly from the time they are toddlers.
Taught, or do they learn it by watching certain actions? Of course you're taught certain things by your parents.
Hey, I'm sure
and you do see some of their stereotypes and prejudice.
Yeah.
But when you go out into the real world and become an adult, you're able to decide for yourself. You really are. If you have half a mind, and again, I don't mean everybody. Some people, they get it in their head and that's all they know. But a fairly educated person, a fairly intelligent person, can make their own decisions based on life experiences and knowledge, not on what someone told them when they were a toddler.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Children may form attachments to their own groups and develop negative attitudes to other racial and ethnic groups. That has been going on since the beginning of time.
And by the way, you notice here they say stereotypes evolve out of fear of persons from minority groups who may look or act differently than the majority, implying that only whites can stereotype.
That the majority, which would be, regular white people, cannot be stereotyped or shouldn't be or can't be a danger or, you're absolutely right.
Like blacks have no ability. And again, that is a fair thing. It's a lot of this does evolve out of a fear of people. But that's like saying that blacks or any other group can't have an irrational fear of a white cop. Like white cops don't ever get a bad rap in the media.
There you go.
Or by groups. And you ask any white cop that works in a certain area, and they're going to tell you, of course there's a bias against them. Of course there's a dislike against them. Maybe it's because of the actions of other cops. Why should they suffer for the actions of other cops?
We've heard it on this show when we have guests, black guys come in here and talk about how white cops, they've always been treated bad by them. So they assume every cop is bad to black people. That's stereotyping.
There you go. Where are we in this pamphlet?
Oh, my goodness.
Why are racial and ethnic stereotypes harmful? Open. I'd like to cover it.
Why are they harmful?
Get to the bottom of this.
All right, we covered the other one pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, why are racial and ethnic stereotypes harmful? Members of the communities in which you live and work can be injured by racial and ethnic stereotypes. Some convenient categories of classifications for people have turned into harmful stereotypes. This reduces the quality of life not only for the people who are targeted, but for the entire community. Because it sows the seeds of conflict and keeps community members from getting to know each other.
Getting to know you. Getting to know all about you. Once a stereotype exists in your mind, it will affect your thinking as all members of that group. As to all members of that group. It'll affect your thinking. As to all, no, it won't.
Of course it won't.
People, even if you stereotype, you make decisions based on individuals. It's just, that's what I do. A lot of people goof around and make jokes about my mindset, my certain mindset. But I absolutely judge people on an individual basis.
And that's when you get to know them. But when you're walking around the streets in New York...
Right. I don't know people from a hole in the wall. What, am I going to shake hands with everybody and what's your name and invite them over the house?
Right.
I have to make a judgment somehow, so it's on past performance. When I go to the racetrack and place a bet on a horse, I'm going to place my bet on past performance of that horse.
Right.
If it's a winner, I'm going to bet him. If he's a loser, he's lost every goddamn race, I'm not betting on him.
See, in your everyday life, you meet people of all different ethnicities, and you make your own decisions. But on the streets in New York, it's an effing jungle out there, and the last thing you want to do is assume that everyone is not going to harm you.
Yeah, you're not going to make it too long.
You're not going to be
in a major city that way.
No, oh my God.
You're either going to get taken somehow, ripped off.
You'd be the injured gazelle.
Remember that girl who called up who had been raped by five black guys, and she said that she got that awful feeling when she was getting.
She knew something wasn't right
wrong when she was walking with a couple of the guys, but she didn't want to come off as racist.
Right.
And it's like we have that intuition at times with people, and it's because of crap like this, which says that if you have that fear, that uncomfortability, you're stereotyping or you're a racist, and you don't listen to your instincts.
Yep. Exaggerations in stereotypes can create artificial differences among people and provide a justification to treat groups of people in a certain way. Artificial differences. People are different. Why can't we get that through our heads, that people are different? White people and black people, Asians, people of other ethnic backgrounds, Russians, people from different areas in the world, different countries, are different. You're raised different. You have different, different things in your DNA. You're just different. We have different instincts as human beings. Until we accept ourselves as animals on this planet, we're just doomed to this political correctness. We're all animals, and we grow up, and we still have certain instincts in us, and those won't go away.
And it's amazing how the same morons that throw this around and say that no one is different, we're all exactly the same, are the same dopes that scream cultural diversity is important.
Right.
Well, where is cultural diversity? If everybody's the same.
Everyone's the same.
Why should I acknowledge your culture?
Let's just be the same and not have any different things for different groups.
Yeah, if I don't acknowledge your culture, if I think, I don't want to hear I'm an American, all of a sudden you're a racist and you're intolerant. But if I say, you know what, I've seen your culture, I think it's kind of stupid, then you're racist and intolerant. You can't win.
You can't.
Negative stereotypes and prejudices can lead to discriminatory behavior.
Oh, this is
ranging from slurs to hate crimes. In the modern era, negative stereotypes and prejudices have resulted in the internment of Japanese Americans in WW2.
On this day.
Quoted, 65 years ago.
On this day.
65 years
December
ago.
December 7th, we're 65 years ago. Wow. Pearl Harbor was invaded by a bunch of Puerto Ricans.
By a bunch of never to be named ethnic peoples from some nation.
Some nation. Was every plane full of a Japanese? Can we just say that 65 years ago,
not allowed to.
every plane that flew and dropped bombs on Pearl Harbor had a Japanese person in it?
I think the best you could do is say that the people that did this to this fine country of ours were a bunch of people that were squinting a lot because I think the sun was bright that day.
Oh, that could have happened, too.
And the internment of Japanese Americans was wrong, and everybody knows it was wrong. So why even mention it in the pamphlet? It was a bad reaction.
Yeah, they actually
50
made
years ago.
And unless you were there then, and in that situation that this country was in, I don't think you can make that judgment if it was bad or good.
Hey,
it was the time. It was people were afraid of spies. We didn't have the intelligence, the technology we have now to monitor people and groups like we do now, and we still get screwed. You know, so someone's idea was round them up, and put them somewhere where we can keep an eye on them. And it turned out to be something that was really terrible. Innocent people having to live in internment camps.
Yeah.
Sorry, it happened. But again, it was planes full of Japanese that dropped those bombs.
We got to move forward because we got to play the blank game and everything else, and we have to take a break. But really fast, today the use of racial and ethnic stereotypes creates, contributes, and reinforces expectations that people of certain ethnic or racial backgrounds will behave in a certain way, will live or not live in a certain part of town, and will have or not have certain kinds of jobs. This is written by a bunch of
white
lawyers in Washington that probably live in gated communities.
Of course they do.
With a few black attorneys who have the right inflection to fit into their group.
Exactly.
And a few women who they have deemed worthy of filling a quota. We know what you do.
If these guys believe in their own stupid pamphlet, we all know Washington has some major, major dark areas.
Move.
Why don't you show an open mind and lead by example and move that fine house in that fine white community?
Move your law offices into a really bad neighborhood.
Why don't you set the example?
Yeah.
Lawyer, dude.
You go ahead. You do it first, we'll follow.
Yeah, we'll follow.
And by the way...
But this was probably, finished in a mansion somewhere in the suburbs as he's looking at other mansions and his white neighbors.
And it says here,
bunch of hypocrites.
Even the stereotypes intended to be humorous or perhaps positive in nature can cause unforeseen discrimination and limitations on opportunities and expectations. And here's the examples. Asian Americans are excellent at science. Jews are great doctors. African Americans dance well.
You know what?
All Asians are good at science. Yeah. Jews have proven to be good doctors.
And they like that you point that out, by the way.
Absolutely.
We all like positive stereotypes, but we don't like the negative ones. Tough crap. But the African Americans, what a bunch of poo-haws they are in Washington, because you know the example they wanted to use.
Well, do you know?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that they're well hung, but no, we can't have that in a pamphlet. Harumph, harumph, harumph.
Harumph.
So we'll say they're good dancers.
Get that out, harumph.
Do you notice even the subtle racism of the dumb lawyer writing this?
Right.
They give the Asian and the Jews great mind-oriented stereotypes,
right.
And they give blacks you're great dancers. I don't care why you use that. Couldn't you find an example of black people using their mind in your stupid pamphlet?
Because they're white lawyers and they got scared. Because the reality is African Americans dance well. When no one says that, really.
Well, they do, but I mean, so what?
But that, I mean, when
they dance well.
When you're thinking about positive stereotypes as far as African Americans go, dance well doesn't really come to mind. It's there, but it's not
sports.
You go sports. You go with their junk is larger.
Right.
There's a bunch of others. They don't believe in staying with their woman.
The good one.
I just love the fact.
Yeah, it's a good one if you're an African-American guy, man.
They give the Asians and the Jews these brilliant stereotypes, and they throw the blacks to dancing.
Yeah.
Good point, Jim. Good point.
There's Asians sending people off into outer space and Jews curing some of the most horrific diseases as some poor black guy does the soft shoe and entertains them.
All right. Well,
it's really mind-boggling.
Well, this leads us to the little test we have to do.
Yeah.
And the listeners are going to have a ball doing the test along with us.
It's a fill in the blanks.
Let's just put it this way. We'll give you the first one as we go to break. All male hairdressers are blank.
Yes, E-Rock?
We'll just go to break with that.
All right.
Because they're thinking in their cars and in their showers and whatever they do. They're still in bed. Don't hit the snooze alarm. Just get the F up and start your day. It's the Opie and Anthony Show. All right, we got to get right back into this. Good morning. It's the Opie and Anthony Show, and we're fired up today because
we were handed booklets.
we were handed a booklet.
Anytime the lawyers hand us booklets, we get fired up.
When is the last time a lawyer handed you something that helped you be funny?
That was good.
I would like to know if anyone can think of an example at your job. Has a lawyer ever handed you something on a corporation
No.
that has helped you? And Than just kind of
No.
opened his arms like, well, this, you idiots.
No,
And he's
yeah.
correct, but we're making fun of it. But I mean, by honestly taking the advice.
You know what,
he said
though?
that lawyer was very helpful.
No other radio show has the balls to actually talk about this on the air. They would read this behind the scenes like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. They're serious this
Oh, believe me,
time.
we're not the only ones that got this.
Everybody got it.
Everybody that works for the company got it.
Lawyers are buzzkills. I've been arguing this for a while. And and Jimmy, of course. You got to add Jimmy to this whole conversation.
I
now.
object.
But no,
You're stereotyping
Just want
me.
to screw it up like
Yeah.
a lawyer would.
all I'm saying is over the years we've been told no so many times. We can't even count that high. And I would always argue to the lawyers and the bigwigs at the company. I'm like, look, the lawyer's job, as far as the Opie and Anthony Show goes, should be how they should figure out how we could do things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And keep us safe from the FCC. But there's such panicky Pete's down there. As soon as we suggest an idea that's a little edgy, a little scary, no, they can't do that.
No.
It's like, no, why don't you take the idea, sit on it for a day, think it over, and try to figure out how we can do it. That's your job. That's your job. So we're in the middle of Words, Hurt, and Harm. This is a pamphlet, a primer for on-air talent and programming personnel, how to develop greater awareness of and learn to avoid the use of racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs. We're up to the little exam we all have to take here.
Yes.
Anthony, you want to take this over here?
How can you become more aware of your own biases and assumptions? Stereotypes are easy to fall back on, but are inaccurate and harmful.
Yep, inaccurate.
Are they?
Inaccurate. Yes, they are all inaccurate.
All of us have built-in biases. What are yours? Complete the following sentences.
All right.
Here we go. It's a little game. And you play along at home, of course. The first one. Are we ready, panel? Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. All male hairdressers are blank. All male hairdressers are blank.
What if we know the answer?
And I see everybody writing, jotting down their answers. All male hairdressers.
All except for Ralph. All except for Ralph.
Right, of course.
That does a fine job in Centerport cutting hair. All except for Ralph. That's what I say. That's my answer. All except for Ralph. I've seen the pictures of his kids right there next to the mirror.
Well,
But every single other one, absolutely.
all male hairdressers are blank. Okay. Everybody got their answers?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to start. You could cut the music. I think they stopped the music once they started actually giving the answers. Jesus Christ, E-Rock. Could you watch an old show?
Exactly.
Can I start with one from the instant feedback? Please.
Okay.
Please. Could you do the question and I'll fill it in with the instant feedback?
All right. Opie, all male hairdressers are...
According to Bert from Philly, scared of Kenny's brush fire hair.
That could be true. I'd like to give mine. I don't know if I matched anybody, but I said all male hairdressers are... No? I don't think I matched anyone on that one.
Stephen from Bayshore, all male hairdressers are festive.
I put, all male hairdressers are nice.
Very good.
Is that the right answer?
Well,
It could be.
Well, I had that, or I had all male hairdressers, and I put in parentheses vagina haters.
See, I think yours is a stereotype, Jimmy.
Booby Man from Brooklyn, all male hairdressers are not dropping T cells like falling hair.
See, I don't know. I might have. I had this. Is this correct? All male hairdressers are, and I put under 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Big Duties Jay from Jersey, all male hairdressers are power bottoms. And flamboyant butt pirates are coming in a lot too there.
Yeah. I think what they're going for here was gay. Gay.
Oh, I got that right. I scratched it out.
That was the answer.
I had originally written poodle owners.
Ah, well,
No,
okay.
I scratched it out.
Broth drinkers, robe wearers.
Broadway lovers.
Yes. See, they're going for a stereotype right there. What made them even write that as the lawyers? What made them even write that?
I don't know. Why would they say hairdressers and connect male hairdressers to any type of a stereotype?
Right.
I've never heard one.
Neither have I.
No.
What's the next one? I think this next one has got me
This
stumped.
is a tough one. This is a tough one.
All right.
All right, Stars, are we all ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
All right. Waiters in Chinese restaurants are blank. Waiters in Chinese restaurants are blank. Now remember, this is coming from the lawyer's booklet that was handed out to us, Words, Hurt, and Harm. This is a primer for on-air talent and programming personnel. How to develop greater awareness of and learn to avoid the use of racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs. We got this hot off the presses last night, and these are some of the stereotypes they want us to avoid.
Well, Anthony, the answers are coming in. I want to go to Pal Talk for this one.
All right.
Doughboy says, illegally here.
Ooh. Wow, a few of them, I think. Waiters, right.
Waiters in Chinese restaurants are illegally here, according to Doughboy off Pal Talk.
I had a different answer. I
right.
put redheaded Jews.
Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy didn't match anybody.
Well, they're also saying on Pal Talk, ex-pet owners.
Waiters in Chinese restaurants, I'm going to say, are good waiters, lest they be sent to the Yankee Cranky shop.
I don't know if I'm having my questions mixed up. What was the second question? Waiters in Chinese restaurants are faggots?
No, Jimmy.
No, you're all mixed up.
Oh, okay. Am I the
See,
wrong one?
let me try one. Waiters in Chinese restaurants are brought over in shipping containers.
Hey, there you go. All right. Are hung like a wonton noodle?
Yeah, see?
Oh, these are easy questions.
I know. You want to go on to the next one?
Yes.
Or does some listeners have
Well, they had some SARS,
a bunch of SARS answers? Yeah.
SARS carriers,
Oh, terrible drivers.
Gamblers.
They're saying.
Yeah, gamblers are coming in.
Smokers. No, that's the hairdressers. Smokers, but not that.
I went by too fast. I can't give you credit, but someone said waiters in Chinese restaurants are bird lickers.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, you want to go to the third one?
Waiters in Chinese restaurants are sad, happy, who knows? Who could tell? Yeah, all right, let's go on to the next one.
All right. Ready? Got your pens and brand new cards out in front of you?
Yes.
To write down your answers, Stars. He drinks a lot, so he must be blank. He drinks a lot, so he must be blank.
I know that one.
Oh, well, write them down. Take a little time. All right. He drinks a lot, so he must be blank.
My dad is coming in a lot.
Oh.
Is coming in a lot.
Inside joke from Pal Talk, Irish Alky.
Irish Alky, okay.
Friend of ours.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying that. All right. He drinks a lot, so he must be blank. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yes. Jimmy?
A dirty Mexican.
Oh, damn. You're not very good at the stereotype game.
I'm going to go with the obvious, Mel Gibson.
All right.
Yeah.
He drinks a lot, so he must be Mel Gibson.
These questions are confusing. Which one is this?
He drinks a lot, so he must be...
A slope.
No. Missing by one each time.
Instant feedback coming in like crazy. Booby Man says from Brooklyn, if what's the question again, Ant? He drinks a lot.
He drinks a lot, so he must be
hitting his wife.
He drinks a lot, so he must be with a tranny in a Saturn.
That would be, he drank a lot.
Right.
And when he quit, he decided to switch addictions, so he must be.
He drinks a lot, so he must be Anthony's ex. No. It would have been she drinks a lot.
But you never know. She might have took your money and got a sex change.
All right.
There you go.
He drinks a lot, so he must be doing production.
He drinks a lot, so he must be Tracy Morgan.
I got one. A CBS radio executive. All right.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah. All right.
Drinks a lot, so he must be a gossip columnist.
All right. Should we move on?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Next question. Everybody ready?
This is an actual exam that they want on-air personalities to take.
Don't be fooled by this as a little bit. This is actually in this pamphlet that the lawyers handed us.
We're supposed to take this seriously.
Yeah. Ready, Cass? Here we go.
Yep.
NFL football players are known to be blank. NFL football players are known to be blank. No?
Wow.
Quick. NFL football players. As opposed to NFL baseball players, stupid lawyers. Jews don't know sports.
They really don't.
Oh, sorry.
National Football League football players, you redundant bores. That's like putting douchey lawyers in the same sentence. What a bunch of stupid, tie-wearing old white guys you are. NFL football players, and in parentheses, not basketball, NBA, or baseball, MLB.
That play football.
Yeah. Well, wife killers is coming in a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, correct. You matched.
Yeah, that's a very good one. That might be the top answer today. Are we doing Family Feud?
That's a little combo, isn't it?
It's a combo of everything today.
Is this right? I have are all known to be. I put having sex with Dr. Ian Smith.
Oh my God!
Wow.
You went old school. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna go with gay. That's
No.
Well, you know.
No, they're not. They're all men.
But they're wide receivers. That old gay. Well, you know. That's
All NFL football players are known to be.
That's a pretty wide-ranging.
Sure.
Like NFL football players are known to be rapists.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's go with rapists.
I'll go with rapists.
Steroid users.
Yeah, well, okay.
Schwoogies.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well hung.
That's good.
All right, let's move on. That one.
All right.
That one's boring.
Unfortunately, gang, we've reached our last question. We're about out of time for this portion of our game.
Okay.
Jewish mothers are typically blank.
Jewish
mothers are typically blank.
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh boy.
I wish we were over at XM. Wow, that didn't take long. The old C word. Oh my God.
Certainly would have thought some of the other stereotypes would have gotten a lot worse answers, but Jewish mothers are typically blank.
There's only one answer coming in, Anthony. Wow.
Holy Jesus, you people are brutal. There are some really awful ones. Yes, Jimmy? Jimmy's got an answer. Jewish mothers are typically
Jews?
That is correct. They would be Jews.
Bad at sex is coming in.
That's coming in.
Irritating, obsessive, talkative, doting.
Can't remember the last time they gave.
Yentas is coming in. Yeah. Wow, Tony from his Subaru. Chicken soup pushing blank. And yes, it's the worst word you could say.
Yeah.
I still say that word is a lot worse than the N.
Wow.
As far as bad words to say. All right, well.
Jesus. I can't even read some of these with the beep.
Filled with Muslim blank. Are you out of your mind?
Horrible.
What?
You know, I think we've covered every one of these without one stereotype. and it's 18,000 times more offensive than if we just would have thrown in the stereotype.
I think we've done a good job so far of being open-minded and broad-minded.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. All right. Well,
how do these assumptions underlying these biases and stereotypes, beliefs affect your behavior? Say that's what they're trying to do. I know when I go to the hair salon, I like having a girl shampoo my hair. Yeah. I just do. Because it says all male hairdressers are blank, and you're supposed to say gay.
Right.
But that is not true. Most male hairdressers are gay. Almost all male hairdressers are gay.
Doesn't matter what city you go to in America, and if you took a poll, that's what you would find out.
Yes. The ones that aren't gay are dead.
All right.
Waiters in Chinese restaurants, what's that supposed to be?
I don't know. Like the lawyers thought something up and had a little laugh, I guess, at that stereotype because they got it. Well, I don't get what waiters in Chinese restaurants are. Is it bad drivers?
No, they want us to say gooks.
What?
You think?
Yes.
No.
They want us to say the worst thing we're thinking in our brains. But they can't come up with a good example. So
I don't think so, because that's not really that's a slur. These are stereotypes
of behaviors.
So it's got to be behavior. Right, so waiters in Chinese restaurants are poor speakers of English.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
Like speaking, but are something.
There you go.
I don't know what they were going for with that one.
Well, they probably had a little lunch at a Chinese restaurant, and their little private joke. The answer was, waiters in Chinese restaurants are late with the beef and broccoli today.
Put it on your tab. I'll deduct it.
I never knew you were a hairdresser.
All right. Should we move on?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I think Than was holding up a sign that said...
We'll continue, man. Words hurt and harm. We'll continue with the pamphlet that the lawyers handed us this morning.
Very helpful.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's going to help our show. I know it.
Oh, wait till we get to the positive stereotypes.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just terrific. Let's step aside. It's the Opie and Anthony Show. That's right. It's the Opie and Anthony Show. Hope you're enjoying what you're hearing today. If you're just tuning in, what are you doing? We're on fire today.
And today, at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. here on Free FM in New York, Bob Grant is doing a 1-hour show. And if you don't know Bob Grant, you're a dope, and you should listen to him.
Legend.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
I really wish I'd be here to see him.
He's a legendary broadcaster doing an hour today at this fine station in New York City.
Boy, is he cranky.
He's got to be wound up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, he's got quite a lot of material to get to.
Yeah, well, hand him this pamphlet.
Yeah.
He would be right there with us. Words Hurt and Harm, a primer for on-air talent and programming personnel, how to develop greater awareness of and learn to avoid the use of racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs.
Yeah, the lawyers handed this to us, and lawyers just know how to bring the funny, I like to say. Bring the funny.
They have a fresh approach.
Yeah.
Where are we up to in this fine pamphlet? What can you do to become part of the solution in dispelling racial and ethnic stereotypes?
The final what?
Boy, were we right there.
I thought we were going to hit bumpers merging out of that highway together.
Exactly.
Yeah, well.
I was taking the old joke road. You came up Hilarity Avenue.
They want us to be leaders. They want us to be the leaders out there.
Yeah, we're supposed to set an example.
They want us to lead you people and show you the way.
The Opie and Anthony Show. The show that killed off the mayor of Boston.
That's right.
That brought you sex at one of the most holiest churches ever.
We laughed at religion.
That took young girls and threw them in 55-gallon drums and covered them with despicable items.
Don't forget young teen girls in the Voyeur bus.
Young girls in a transparent bus to bathe in front of the mayor's house. We're supposed to now all of a sudden set an example.
Had one man vomit into the mouth of another man.
Just the other day.
The show that gave you the baby bird. That's right. We are supposed to lead you people.
Yes.
And show you that this whole thing is wrong. All right, what can you do to become part of the solution? There's no final there, Jimmy.
No.
In dispelling racial and ethnic stereotypes. And guess what? We get to play another game here. Because there's more questions we have to answer.
I like games.
Yeah, at least they made it full of games. This is like a highlights magazine at the doctor's office.
Racial and ethnic stereotypes are major problems in U.S. society.
Rufus and Gallant.
Yeah. It may seem frustrating as an individual to try to solve this problem. And then they go on to say, have these thoughts ever popped into your head? Oh, boy.
All right.
Start the music. Oh, no, well,
You don't need music.
yeah, music after the question.
Well, it doesn't really matter. Either way, we were doing it that way before.
Ant's the game show host. I apologize, Anthony. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, music. I like the music.
All right.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Just what do these people want anyway?
We have to answer that question?
Just what do these people want anyway?
James from Connecticut, very early with his answer.
Yeah.
To kill the blacks and Jews.
That can't possibly be it. Is he talking? Who's he talking about?
I don't know, man.
Just what do these people want anyway? To sell the show until we have 1 minute per break to talk.
Oh, see? You're talking about the lawyers. I get it. I don't have an answer. I'm just going to say, just what do these people want anyway?
Well,
Yes.
this answer coming in off Pal Talk, ass sex.
Now, I'm not sure you're able to say that.
I was just testing Al.
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 You're back there on the button, Al.
You were getting a little too comfortable back there, Al.
Okay, Al.
All right, Al, calm back down. Sit back down in your chair.
I know how his people like to drink. I don't know what Al is.
Oh, my God. Another one that has to be said because of that GM. Lesbians that give you morning hard-ons.
Just what do these people want anyway?
Well, listen, I know he dumped out, but just to bring everyone on board, it was the discussion we had about the GM and what happens to him when he hears sexual content on the radio.
And we know what he wants.
We tied that nicely together with just what do these people want anyway. All right. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Are you nuts taking the Pal Talk off my screen, E-Rock?
Oh.
Do you have a brain ever?
E-Rock.
The listeners are helping us out right now with this part of the show.
To the R.
We depend on the listeners. All right, go ahead, Anthony.
E-Rock. All right, just what do these people want anyway? By the way, what was that supposed to be? Like,
It's saying that maybe you're more of a problem than you think. Maybe you're not a part of the solution if you had these thoughts. These are not healthy. These are not helpful thoughts.
Oh, I get it now. Oh. And just what do these people want anyway? Our white women. That's the correct answer.
Atta boy.
Okay.
To control the media. For the R's and L's in our language to be interchangeable. To come into this country without signing any documents.
All right. Are we ready? The next question.
Well, segregation was coming in like crazy. It's got to be acknowledged here.
To get married.
All right.
Other ethnic groups had to struggle. Why is it so different for this group? Other ethnic groups had to struggle. Why is it so different for this group?
God, I use that one all the time. I use that all the time.
You know,
We've
because
all had that thought.
Ancestors.
Absolutely. Every person listening has had that thought.
Had their problems when they're new to a country, and why is this group so different?
Well, my pamphlet, or somebody wrote it, and it said, "See Michael Richards."
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't think this one works in the game format as much as the other ones.
Well, but, you know.
I like the fill-in-the-blank one better, but this is fun.
Yeah.
And this annoys me the way they wrote it.
Like you're wrong to think all these things. Or you're part of the problem if you've ever thought these things.
Angry minorities make me feel defenseless and angry.
What?
Angry minorities make me feel defenseless and angry. Have you ever thought that? You're part of the problem.
Well, yeah, I've also thought that writing the same thing twice is a sign of bad writing. You know?
Yeah.
Here's one. I should not be held responsible for my ancestors' behaviors.
We were saying that during the whole Kramer discussion.
Is that a problem?
With that chick that called in? What was her name? Tina? A week or two ago?
Or maybe they're saying, I don't think they're making a judgment on this. They're saying it may seem frustrating as an individual to try and solve this problem. Have these thoughts ever popped into your head? Maybe they're just giving some examples of the fact that you do feel frustrated and you don't even realize it.
And I am not personally responsible for stereotypes that exist in this society.
It's true. I've thought
That is
that
so
many.
true.
I thought that just this morning.
I am when I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
I just thought of that this morning as
did?
my Asian friend and I were throwing that firstborn daughter into the river. No, but it's true.
They don't like the girls.
My Jewish friend and I were saying that we are not responsible for stereotypes, and then we controlled the media together.
That's the two he is.
And now they're saying it's our responsibility to...
We're very responsible.
Yeah, you may sometimes assume that racism is an individual matter rather than one of general applicability. Even if you have never had any of these thoughts because of your influence as a radio personality or programmer, you have the responsibility and power to affect positive change by curbing the use of stereotypes, as well as the perpetuation of discrimination and racism. As important players in the mass, we're important players in the mass media.
Important players.
Your power is greatly enhanced by your ability to reach your listeners who respect your opinions and value what you have to say.
Well,
so stereotypes have been happening since the beginning of time, but shock jocks are going to make the change. Right?
I think there's a stereotype here that people respect our opinions. That's a stereotype. Just because we're on the air, people respect our opinions?
They don't respect.
That is a stereotype.
I think most of the time they look at their radio and go, what a bunch of dopes.
These guys are idiots.
Hey, Opie's not responsible for the actions of All the Way May. Why? Why today of all days? Why? Let her rest one day, please.
All the way May, because it's December 7th. That was a day that lived in infamy.
Absolutely.
All the Way May played Pearl Harbor that day. She laid down. So you know the rest of the joke.
Thank you. I haven't used that joke since I was in 8th grade.
Oh, I know. All the Way May. We have a special role, in the media. We don't necessarily create stereotypes, but it plays an enormous role in perpetuating and reinforcing them. That's what we're doing. The media also does not create cultural values and attitudes, but it draws upon existing ones. We amplify and rechannel thoughts that target audience and culture already share. So we're perpetuating these things if we do breaks like this. Movies, television, magazines, books, all sources of stereotyped characters. Ethnic appearances in media by people who are not white. Why people who are not white and part of mainstream American culture?
It's because it's written by guilty, superior white people.
Let me give you a stereotype of a white guy. Look at any of these dopey movies where he just plays a dope, or dopey TV shows where the father's a white guy and he's a dolt.
Right.
How about the goofy white guy dancing horribly in everyone? How about Steve Martin in Bringing Down the House doing the goofy white guy dance?
Oh.
Now, that doesn't hurt white people, but why not address it?
And
why not at least lump it in with ethnic stereotypes, you faggots?
Because white people can't dance. It's funny to see a white guy trying to dance with black people because they can dance.
And why are they saying this is rare? Turn on your local news. You're going to get the Asian newswoman
doing the Asian stories.
Or the Asian reporter. You're going to have the white dude at the desk. You're going to have the black guy doing sports. You're going to have the gay guy doing weather.
Deaf girl doing the deaf
doing the handicap people, Karen Meyer.
Stories.
But every local news program runs the gamut. They try to get as many different people in there as possible. So,
accordingly, it's understandable that stereotypical portrayals can be offensive to people of underrepresented races and ethnicities, and to the community as a whole. Even a seemingly good stereotype example.
I love this example.
Hardworking Latin American immigrants.
That's what you think of when you think of...
That's terrific. That's terrific.
Wow. Mix that up?
Yeah, that's the most positive stereotype I can think of.
Many ethnicities are excluded from regular roles on television or in movies, or their roles are limited to stereotypical portrayals. For example, Italian Americans belong to the mafia. There you go.
Can I raise a little point? That to be a made member of the mafia, you have to be
Italian.
Right.
Italian.
Right. You have to be full-blooded Italian.
You absolutely, they go back and check your lineage, have to be Italian. So, you dummies, who else is going to play?
Who's going to play mafia guys except Italians? And that doesn't necessarily mean every Italian actor has only played mafia roles.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. What are they supposed to be? Asian American men are villains, martial arts experts, gentlemen, or speak broken English.
See, now why are they just listing facts? This is supposed to be helpful, and they're listing a bunch of facts.
You know what? We should send someone down to the street and just talk to 5 Asian people that walk by, and one of these things will be true every single time. Every single time.
Street gangs are composed of African Americans.
Correct.
That is not all true, because street gangs are also composed of Latinos, and there are Asian street gangs,
yes.
And there are white supremacist street gangs. Not that many.
Not many.
But yeah, it's hard to be a street gang when you're out there. You usually have to cower in the woods somewhere and burn a cross.
They're a yard gang. They hang behind those shacks with men of similar ilk and drink warm beverages.
Someone is saying, hey, what about West Side Story?
Right. The Sharks.
Courtroom lawyers are Jewish.
They certainly are.
Oh, my God.
For the most part, lawyers are Jewish. Let's say we never say all. Terrorists wear turbans. Dude, that is the oldest, stereotype. Ever since 9/11, I think we understand that a turban are worn by Sikhs and not terrorists, not like Middle Eastern terrorists. We understand that.
But a lot of people didn't know that after 9/11. We had to be educated on that point.
The derogatory term raghead isn't necessarily a turban. It could be that Yasser Arafat type towel that was on his head. That's more of a towel head or a rag than a turban would be.
And I don't know why anybody would really think terrorists, do wear turbans, considering no photos of Bin Laden or al-Zawahiri have turbans in them. You know, and photos of al-Zarqawi, he was never wearing a turban.
No, matter of fact, they were wearing Yankee baseball caps.
Yeah.
When I saw them.
Why would you think that? Why would you think terrorists have turbans or Islamic?
Yeah. One of my this last one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Latin Americans talk with an accent and eat beans.
I would get that tattooed on myself.
They wrote that.
See, living in Manhattan, you get to go to all these ethnic restaurants, and you go to like a Latin American type of restaurant. They're not serving pasta.
Can I have the beans?
They got rice and beans for you.
But they got other things. It's not just I wouldn't look at a Latin American and say I would think, they talk with an accent. Okay,
sure.
Because you do. But you eat beans.
They also eat rice.
Occasionally like some beef, I bet.
They like a little
in that burrito.
Guacamole.
A
little salsa.
And a lot of them do talk with an accent. If they don't talk with an accent of any kind, why then every time I pick up the goddamn telephone do they give me, for Espanol, press 2?
Yeah.
Why is that option everywhere in this country if they don't talk with an accent?
And not even first generation.
No.
Like second generation.
Ugh.
Also.
Yeah.
It's kind of...
I can't pick up the phone without hearing that.
I know.
Wow.
I can't pick up a prostitute without her asking me a question about that.
With an accent.
The media routinely takes advantage of ethnic or racial stereotypes as shorthand to convey a mood, scene, or character. Personalities on TV, cable, and radio use stereotypes to get a quick laugh.
Make it sound cheap.
When the joke is on racial or ethnic groups, the target groups feel dehumanized, offended, and resentful.
Do they?
No,
Can you make that
really?
decision, Mr. White lawyer?
White lawyer.
In a nice office or your lovely house?
White DC lawyer.
You're speaking for everybody. That a black guy can't enjoy a black joke? That a Hispanic guy can't enjoy a Hispanic joke? But Carlos Mencia doesn't do well in the Spanish community,
Pryor
and it's all about that. Pryor didn't do well with black people. Eddie Murphy didn't do well with black
Mooney
people.
offends black people. Does Patrice offend black people?
Right.
I don't know. You want to go with Woody Allen? Did he offend you?
Jews were so offended by Woody Allen.
Terribly
They
offended.
boycotted everything he did.
Oh my God! And Paul Rodriguez, he would never make fun of Latins. Neither did Freddie Prinze. No comedians do.
We can go on and on.
Don't talk about comedy. You're a bunch of boring lawyers. You don't understand what's funny because you're not funny people.
All right, here we go. This is what the whole pamphlet's about, and it's hidden on the bottom of page 5.
One line, bottom of page 5.
And the pamphlet is barely 7 pages.
And incidentally, by the way,
over 7
one more thing about the comedy. They have special Asian nights. They have gay comedy nights.
Yeah.
They have chocolate Sundays at the
where they
Laugh
turn
Factory.
the stools upside down.
4 times as many people. Give me those ribs, you. Oh, they're showing visibly. Why do you have specialized nights in the comedy clubs if people don't want to hear ethnic humor?
Right.
What is Def Jam on HBO?
What is that?
Loco, Comedy Loco?
It's
what is
all ethnic humor.
How out of touch.
All right. Well, this is what it's all about here. Social consciousness is also tied to the bottom line.
Thank you.
Stereotypes are harmful for financial reasons. This is hidden on page 5. Customers will not, and it's underlined, customers will not buy products or listen to shows if they feel insulted.
That is the bulk of that should be in red on the cover of this pamphlet because that's what it's all about. And they're wrong.
That's right.
They're wrong because they're assuming that the customers who buy the products are listening to the show and being insulted.
Look,
and again, we bring back all those comics and all their audience and how it just works and people find it funny. And because you're a lawyer and you really don't understand humor, you don't understand that people do find humor in stereotypical jokes.
And look, the reality is only white people buy stuff, everybody else steals. So
Don't give it a ring.
Are you telling me that
that was correct, right? I was just taking the exam.
The judges gave it a ring.
Mac is a big sponsor?
Well,
on
the
the
judges
show?
are white.
Yeah.
So.
Are you telling me that someone's not going to go out and get a computer because they heard an ethnic joke? I mean, is this just based in white fear? It's just babies.
If you're sitting here now, I could understand putting something like this out if a show is sitting there and doing nothing but spewing hate. And I heard it. I used to hear it on WLIB. It was a station here, a black-owned station, and they'd have black jocks that would preach nothing but
hate toward the white man.
Toward white people. And that was some real venom. I mean, venom. And I can understand if there's a bunch of white guys sitting around just bashing other ethnic groups and condoning violence against them. That's one thing.
Like we do in the back room.
Right, we do it in the privacy of our homes, our cars, our offices.
If we had mics in the back room, yes, no one would be buying any product.
But on the air, we're professionals.
Yes, that's right.
It would be the Adolf and Goebbels show.
I think it comes down to this. You got to spread it out among all groups.
And keep it
in the humor
fun.
category.
It's light.
Right.
It's a humor show. This isn't a news show. We do hit on the news, but it's basically a humor show. So when we're doing these things, it's not done to incite. It's not done, and we're thinking, wow, good, we're going to perpetuate this stereotype. It's a humor. It's humor. Sometimes it delves into dark humor, but it's still humor. Something lawyers just don't get.
Man, you know, we wanted to move on, but this stuff is too good, because on the way, what to avoid saying on air, because now they got to give you some solutions to the problem here.
And some examples.
And some examples, which are just terrific. What to avoid saying on the air is on the way. Also, we talk about positive stereotypes. What's the problem with that?
They have a problem with it. There's a problem. Hey, can't do the bad, don't do the good.
That's right.
And then a final statement on the whole thing when we continue. It's the Opie and Anthony Show. Yeah, but we'll finally finish up with Words, Hurt, and Harm, a primer for on-air talent and programming personnel, how to develop greater awareness of and learn to avoid the use of racial and ethnic stereotypes and slurs.
Handed out by the lawyers to all the air staff, I guess.
Yeah.
And
but this is not
just another sign that we're doomed.
This isn't for music jocks or anything. It's for people like you and I. Simple as that.
Yeah?
Absolutely. You're not getting the top 40 jocks all of a sudden yelling and screaming and using stereotypes in between their records.
Racial slurs.
They read a couple liners that have nothing to do with this.
Hey, this is a great song put out by some back in 1968.
Can you imagine? All right. Well, now we get to... now they're going to suggest some things we could do. the solution to the problem.
Uh-huh.
How can you avoid further reinforcement of racial and ethnic stereotypes? Recognize that you have the power and responsibility to avoid racial and ethnic stereotypes.
Better recognize.
This is hilarious. Listeners look up to radio personalities.
Do they really?
They don't look up to us. They don't look up to anyone in the broadcasting field.
The last guy they looked up to was Eric Bogosian in that stupid talk radio movie he did.
Yeah.
They don't look up to us. Are you kidding me? They know we're a bunch of dopes in general.
It's not true. I'm a
We
leader.
say it every day.
You may play a leadership role in your community or be held up as a role model.
Don't look up to us. We're stupid.
Yeah.
See, we should have a disclaimer.
Make your own decisions, people.
And then it says, yeah, that's what it comes down to. Even your, they're basically saying you can't figure out things for yourself.
No.
We say something stupid on the radio, and all of a sudden you're going to change your mind and start believing in different things. It says even your presentation of comedic material can shape listeners' opinions.
Wow.
That is so not true.
It is nonsense.
People have brains that they use on a daily basis and decide for themselves.
Maybe a couple of people, but...
There might be a few, but
Yeah.
they're just the dopes. It's not an excuse to say that the programming was meant to be comedic or
Satirical?
Satirical, sorry. Yeah.
It's not.
Both serious and comedic programming can reinforce listeners' already held beliefs, but can change listeners' minds as well.
Do you see the arrogance of
That's
this?
insane.
The arrogance of these dumb lawyers.
That's insane.
The arrogance.
Do the Vulcan mind meld on people, apparently. Already held beliefs, but can change listeners' minds as
We
well.
are not that pompous to think we're going to change your minds at all.
And another thing, that's not what I signed on for. I didn't sign on to change people's thinking as far as racial diversity goes and sensitivity.
We signed on to do a few poopy jokes
Right.
for a couple decades.
A few schlong jokes, whatever it takes to make people giggle on their commute.
A few hot conversations with hot young lesbians.
That's it.
That's what we signed up to do.
I'm not a shrink.
And maybe
I'm
get-
not a cop. I'm not changing people's opinions.
And maybe get a few CDs in the process. Just a few. Couple free CDs.
Get some freebies.
And some free concert tickets. We're not leaders, and you guys
swag.
know we're not leaders. They're basically saying in Washington, these lawyers, that you people that listen to radio are just plain stupid.
You're puppets.
We don't want people to agree with us. We like to say what we say, and then you enjoy it or hate it or do whatever you
Yeah.
That's
Listen
all.
to it. Don't listen to it. Whatever.
Want to avoid saying on air. Bringing back the funny. Here we go.
Slurs. I guess that's one of the things they don't want you using are slurs.
Right.
And then they give some examples.
And they're a bunch of poo-haws down there in Washington because, you know, the examples they wanted to use was for African Americans, but they didn't have the balls.
Of course they didn't.
They didn't have the balls to go with the one that is the number one on everyone's list.
I also don't agree with one of these slurs.
Slurs such as Chinaman. You like that one?
Chinaman. Yeah. Someone just recently got in trouble for saying Chinaman.
Chinaman? Who?
Yeah.
How can you get in trouble for saying that?
I think
He was talking about a Jew.
Adam Carolla.
Did he apologize?
Yeah, of course he did.
Well,
Why, Adam?
the Asian community is getting very powerful.
Oh, enough with them already.
We got
Remember
that
the
John
community?
Liu guy in New York.
Thanks.
That's just paying close attention to what we're saying and what other people are saying about the Chinaman.
Chinaman was a derogatory term, they say, that was used during, the building of the railroad and when they were paid very little to do a lot of work and treated like garbage. So
Well, whatever it is.
Chinaman shouldn't be used.
It worked because those railroads are as straight as arrows.
That's right.
Gotta love it.
And that's-
Job well done.
And that's because we whipped the hell out of them to make sure they did it right. And threw them in a quicksand pit every once in a while to teach them a lesson and say, look, if you don't continue making this straight, look what's going to happen to you.
How you get your history off of Blazing Saddles.
I get all my history from movies.
From Blazing Saddles.
Oh, my God. I smell bit. History from movies. Hold on. Just a little spark.
Got a little spark, divine spark there in your head?
Get your history from movies, yes. All right, go ahead. That's too good to pass up. What we have learned from movies about history.
That we think is
Oh,
real?
man, is that great. All right, so slurs. So
yeah.
Chinaman you don't have a problem with?
No. That is considered a racial slur now.
Okay.
For Asian Americans.
Which is ridiculous.
I don't agree with this one.
Oriental.
Because this is Oriental.
Yeah.
This was used for many years as a way to say if somebody was Asian from some, Asian country. You could have covered the whole thing, China,
The Orient.
Japan.
The Orient.
Anywhere. The Orient.
But Oriental's like, like things that don't breathe, right?
But, Oriental are things.
Right.
Like you have an Oriental table.
Right.
Or chair.
Right.
But not a person.
Right.
Different.
They're Asian.
Ew.
I don't know. That's relatively new. Like within the past
picky
10 years or so. That one kind of got in. Now, gook. They use that as an example also. That is pretty dated. That was used in late end of Korea and into Vietnam. They use that. I don't know what is the origin of that word?
No idea. I never knew.
I'd love to know what the origin of that word is.
Good cook.
I know what Charlie. Well, they called him Charlie. It was VC, Victor Charlie.
Right.
And then they just shortened it to Charlie.
Someone saying Imus was the one that said Chinaman.
Was he?
Maybe we get that story.
Maybe. I'm sure he did.
And then slant-eyed.
Yeah.
And then they got explained when referring to Asian Americans.
Asian Americans. Well, that obviously is a derogatory term just used off of what you see. It's a description of someone's face.
Right.
And, of course, that wouldn't be liked.
Oh, oh my God.
People wouldn't like that.
The positive examples are just great
I know.
on the next page.
Yeah, well, really fast, what to avoid saying on air. Using racial or ethnic terminology in stories or jokes where race and ethnicity are not factors. Singling out a member of a minority group as a spokesperson for his entire ethnic or racial group.
Yeah.
And
Right,
accents
like
used to mock a race, culture, or ethnic group. I stepped all over you there, Jimmy. I was finishing a sentence. I apologize.
Other examples of qualifying statements include nothing against this race, but they should not allow them to
drive.
Blank. Right. So it's like nothing against Asians, but they shouldn't allow them to drive.
Right.
Nothing against Irish, but they shouldn't allow them to drink.
Why?
Nothing against Italians, but they should not allow them to own guns.
Nothing against blacks, but they should not allow them to...
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And... Yeah. This one... Other examples of qualifying statements include, and this one everyone uses, hey, some of my best friends are that race, but...
Yeah, but... There's only one time you use that.
Every group uses that one. Every single group uses that one. All right, should we just move on?
Let's finish up here.
How to avoid good... They're saying why you should avoid certain good stereotypes.
Yeah, even good stereotypes.
But even the group would say, what? No, we enjoy the...
Oh, my God, Kenny. All I'm hearing is like this loud paper bag rustling.
It's breakfast time.
Rustling. I thought he was running his fingers through his hair.
All right, so why should you avoid good stereotypes?
Oh, wait, first, right above that, here's something they don't want us doing either. Do not fake accents that evoke a race or culture or try to imitate a language. Mocking speech patterns is an example of a stereotype in action that manifests into a slur. So you pretty much can't do an impression of, like, Jackie Chan.
Anybody ethnic.
Don't do a Jackie Chan impression. Don't do an impression of Chris Rock, because he uses kind of a black dialect when he talks and does his act. Yeah. You can't do impressions of anybody but white people, apparently.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
That helps comedy.
That's it. You lawyers stink. I could see him typing this up. Oy vey, what do you want to put? Let me write how I thought they shouldn't imitate certain speech patterns. My overbearing mother told me that.
You didn't clean the office properly. I'm sorry, I was busy.
So,
And why is my food late? I had tried to make for food, but me hit ditch because me go circle car.
I afraid to go through that group of people. You what? You be flipping, yo. You can ride through us. We gonna hurt you or nothing. Anyone need a haircut? Jesus. How ridiculous. Isn't it ridiculous?
All right,
Good stereotype.
Why should you avoid good stereotypes? Some stereotypes may seem to be beneficial at first.
At first.
But then what happens?
I don't know. Somehow the lawyers make it go bad.
No, they explain it all. They give a very good explanation.
All right, why don't you take it, Jimmy? Well, here's the ball.
Some stereotypes may be seem to be beneficial, but they are explicitly or implicitly combined with bad stereotypes. African Americans are not all good at sports.
See, we assume they are.
That's true. There are some.
That's a good stereotype.
Actually, there are 3 who aren't.
3 who aren't.
The stereotype that African Americans are good at sports has a flip side.
You watch football on Sundays, you stupid lawyers?
Are you kidding me? I didn't read this.
Well, the flip side is that they are less intelligent.
What?
Holy crap.
And incidentally,
Can
the lawyers find... How about this? Why do the lawyers have to use a sports example? Why don't the lawyers use an example for black people that is mind-oriented and not sports-oriented?
Wow,
That's
man.
all they've done. This whole booklet is...
Black people can dance.
Degrade black people.
Black people can dance, and black people are good at sports.
Yep.
Like, I understand they're going after stereotypes, but why is it that the Jews get science, and the Chinese get science and doctors and lawyers, and yet blacks are stuck with sports?
It's sports and dancing so far in this whole pamphlet.
Why, lawyers?
Have you ever focused on the fact that if you're good at sports, that you're dumb? Has that ever really crossed your mind?
No, but apparently they think so. Jesus.
I've actually thought that, and honest to God, my idea of the dumb jock is a white guy. I've never thought of black as a dumb jock.
A bunch of dumb white jocks getting drunk, cruising out in a car and wrapping themselves around a tree.
That's who I've always seen.
Stuff like that,
jocks,
right.
White guys.
Do you ever, Tiger Woods is a great example, taking over the world. So he's great at golf, and he's black, right? Have you ever looked at Tiger Woods and go, he's got to be a dummy?
No, because he's Asian in him.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and the Asians are good at math.
That's the smart
And he's always calculating before he hits the ball around the golf course.
Why can't these lawyers think of an example? And I know that they're saying, well, if these stereotypes aren't true, why don't they just say African Americans are not all good lawyers? Because it's a non-stereotype.
Right.
Why isn't it a stereotype?
It reinforces the racist idea that African Americans are more animalistic and less human because they are more physically able and less intelligent. Are you insane?
Wow.
This is the crap these guys talk about behind closed doors with their
God.
scotch on the rocks.
Yep.
It's a racial stereotype to assume a tall, black young man plays basketball.
Look. Even when I see...
Is it?
When I see a tall white guy, one of the first things I go, "What? Did he play basketball in high school?" You just assume because that's what basketball coaches do. I was a basketball player, and unfortunately I wasn't tall enough. I only made it to just under.
And you're white.
Yeah, I just made it to under 6 foot. Okay. But, man, in my high school and every high school in America, they recruit the tall people to play basketball, whether you're white, black, or, well, Asian. There had to be one out there.
Yeah.
Well, so is it a racial stereotype, then, to see a short Asian and assume he doesn't play for the NBA?
Yes.
Yeah, is that a racial stereotype?
Yes.
To see an older Jewish man, apparently in his 40s, is it ageist and racist or for me to say, I bet he's not a linebacker for the Giants?
You know, it is because you just don't know.
You dopes.
All right, let's move on to the next example. Asian American students are not all high-achieving, smart representatives of the model minority.
Model minority.
They gave him
The good stereotype that Asian Americans are smart also perpetuates the racist concept that they are un-American or aliens and do not fit in socially.
Well, then why is Chinatown existing?
Yeah.
Why does Chinatown exist?
And how come when they get a B+, they throw themselves out a window of a their dorm room
at NYU. Yeah. Have they installed the trampolines yet?
Jesus.
Something we suggested about a year ago. Trampolines around NYU, please.
What are the ethnic pride parades then? If no one can be judged on anything, what is Columbus Day? What is our Irish parade? What are all these ethnic parades? If there's, I don't understand it. Why should they have any allegiance to each other?
Let's start by shutting down ethnic parades.
White people stink.
Oh, we really do.
Un-American or aliens. And did not fit in society. Why? Because they're high achieving? Boy, what they are saying here is that we are not high achieving. Right. And we represent people that aren't a model person.
Yeah, and they're just trying to find an excuse why good stereotypes aren't bad. Because when I think that Asians are smart and do well at school, which I do, and honestly the reason I think that is the parenting stresses that. And being good in school is you're not spit on by other Asian students. It's not frowned on. So I actually think that's a great cultural thing they have, is that they're education oriented.
Certainly is.
I admire that.
Great work ethic.
It is a racial stereotype to presume that all Asian American students do well in school, excel in math or science, or tend to be submissive and compliant.
Well, then how is that a positive stereotype? No, how do you put submissive and compliant as a positive stereotype, other than sexually when you're holding a gun?
It starts with how
Finding
positive. It starts basically what they're saying is the positive stereotype leads to a negative stereotype. Many Asian American students are student leaders among their classmates, do well in fields other than math or science, and have assertive and outgoing personalities.
But
man, I tell you.
Do you understand that they just said Asian American students are not all high achieving, smart representatives? And then in the last sentence they say, many Asian American students are student leaders, do well in fields other than math or science, and have assertive and outgoing personalities. They just contradicted themselves. They're not all positive. Some of them are terrific.
And being assertive and outgoing, that's the minority. It just is.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you go around your daily lives, that's what you see. It's what you see. I'm sure there are that are assertive and leaders and all that.
But there is this family, there's this very close-knit family thing that a lot of Asians have. And it's very, it's not really open to the outside. You know, when you go into Chinatown and stuff, you see plenty of fun things to do and eat and stuff. But their families are very close-knit, and they don't like when a lot of people go outside the family. This is just the way it is. I'm not stereotyping here. This is a culture. It's something that happens in their culture.
And they want to call America the cultural melting pot. And in one hand, these same people will say you have to respect diversity and culture and admire and learn about other people's culture. Yet when you identify somebody culturally and say, yeah, well, the Asians are good at math because family stress that, that's a stereotype. You can't win with these idiots.
All right, the last example is just terrific.
No, it's fabulous.
We should use the word fabulous. Absolutely. Gay men are not all stylish.
That's correct.
Wow.
Some of them have to shave their arms and wear flame shirts.
The good stereotype that gay men are good at fashion and interior decorating reinforces the idea that they are hedonists and superficial.
And I don't know what would enforce that stereotype, queer eye from the straight of the streak. I don't know why you would think that. Maybe
every decorating show and every makeover show and all these home rebuilder shows where they're decorating or they're giving poor people a house and they bring in a decorator. Maybe the fact that every single guy they bring in to decorate a house is gay on those shows, maybe that reinforces it.
And maybe every time.
And maybe that's just the way it is.
Well, they are saying that's probably wrong, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
sure
that they shouldn't do that on TV.
And maybe 90% of the times I go into a store to buy some kind of clothes, the man that helps me looks like he should be eating link sausage by the fistful.
The good stereotype is tied to the bad stereotype that gays are feminine and different than real men.
Well, gay guys do have this femininity about them.
They love to cry.
Of course they do.
They cry a lot.
Not all of them. I'm not saying all, because a lot of guys, especially if they're in the closet because they don't want to come out, maybe they're sports figures, something like that, they hide it. But for the most part, openly gay guys that are out of the closet are very feminine. For the most part.
I'm
not saying all.
And to say they're just
stereotypes came from somewhere.
Of course they
make it sound like we just decided to get in a room one day and go, all right, let's
make up this set of rules.
All right, look, gay. Let's say they're all feminine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It came from somewhere. From many, many, many years of observing culture.
And you can hear someone's gay. Hi, we know what you like.
Yeah.
Once again, you like when you sit down.
Once again, Jimmy, for the most part.
Yeah,
this is like the majority of that group.
Has anyone in this room, and I don't mean so flamboyant where you're, watching the Halloween parade down in the village or something like that, gay, but just a gentleman is walking down the street, and you could tell by his walk and perhaps a little bit of what he's wearing, that he is absolutely gay.
Of course.
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
There are ways that you can look at somebody and absolutely know their sexuality. It's just the way it is. A woman walking down the sidewalk, with the way she's dressed, the way her hair is done, her stride, you can tell she is a lesbian. It happens. We're not stupid.
People dress and behave a certain way because a lot of times they want you to know what they are. For instance, if you see somebody, a lot of Muslims fought to have headgear. Obviously, headgear. What do they call? I'm not sure they call it headgear, but what they wear over their heads.
Head removal gear. Usually carry.
But a lot of them fought to have that as transit workers.
Yeah.
Or they wanted to wear like a turban, whatever they wanted to wear. They fought for that.
Yeah.
Why? It's part of their religion. They want you to know what religion they are.
Right.
Why do Jews wear skull caps? So you think that they're Irish? They are dressing, showcasing their religion. So am I being bigoted if I see a guy with the little hair locks falling down in the Diamond District wearing a black suit and I assume he's a Jew? I mean, is that racist?
They're called curly fries.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's payas.
A little piggy tails.
Oh, payas?
Not called curly fries.
How ironic.
They're curly fries.
Payas.
Pay us.
Oh, Jesus.
Jeez, wow.
Ooh. I never thought of that.
But is that, come on, man. Is that, they're dressing a certain way to show you something.
All right. The good stereotype, this is how they wrap this up, is wrong and unrealistic. It creates the great difficulty of expecting people to live up to an absurd perception. Just like any stereotype, it reduces a person's humanity. Forcing an assumption, even a seemingly positive one, onto someone can have a harmful impact.
But it doesn't, because you're not putting the stereotype on every individual. You're not. You take the individual for what they are when you're having some type of interaction with the individual. That's when you can make a basis on what that person's about. You need to interact with a person one-to-one. But when you looking at a group as a whole, all you have is their culture, their past
deeds.
What they've done, and that's what you have to go on. That's your first impression. Oh, God, this is just drivel.
The synopsis is very important, Anthony.
Yeah, we finally finish. By the way, we were only going to do this for like a half hour today.
Yeah, swear to God. Swear to you.
This took on a life of its own
The phone
today.
has been lit all day because everyone has to deal with this type of crap. At their own jobs. You guys all have that nonsense sensitivity training and diversity training, all this garbage.
And they look at white radio like we're the problem. The black radio stations are doing the exact same thing. Some people would say worse. I don't know, because I don't listen to black radio enough to form an opinion, but this is happening all over the place.
So in summing up.
All right. How could you use your voice and your power?
We can destroy Dantooine to show the power of this starbase. What? Alderaan? Oh.
Good. Wow, one nerd correcting another. I've never seen that.
Oh,
That's Alderaan.
Creative?
Wow. We'll be number one by no time with talk like that.
No one was on Dantooine.
What?
It's abandoned.
You might as well be speaking Korean.
Believe me, people know.
That's right.
Well, but they're a bunch of faggots, and we're not looking for the faggots.
It's not
to
Korean,
listen to
by
the
the
show.
way. It's Oriental talk.
Is it?
Yes,
Who
it's
knows?
Asian blather. Creative on-air talent can and should entertain and be humorous without having to use comedy as a vehicle to denigrate other people.
You skipped a great line here, though. It is human nature to be uncomfortable with people who seem different than we are, but unfairness results if we treat people differently because of a stereotype.
It's human nature to be uncomfortable with people who seem different than we are.
Gee, is it?
It's interesting.
than we are, meaning
The lawyers, rich, white,
living in, gated communities.
gated community.
Yeah. We will become less uncomfortable with people who are different than we are if we get to know them as individuals and not as representatives of their ethnic or racial group.
That's what we do.
Yes.
You do that.
And
That's
we-
what we
As a
do
human
in
being.
life. You can't meet everybody.
Well, I suggest these lawyers drive down around the XM complex down there in D.C. And I suggest, and I mean this in a very genuine way, that you get out of your cars on your way home from work.
Leave them unlocked.
And you leave them unlocked because you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
And you get to know people in that neighborhood.
Shake some hands.
Get to know people.
Press
Make
the
some
flesh.
friends.
Hey, this is coming in a lot, so let's answer this question. Ann from Staten Island. Go ahead, Ann.
I can't believe that somebody would actually make a list like this and be sued for discrimination themselves.
Yeah, she goes, is this pamphlet for real?
I
Oh, yeah.
swear to you,
It's
Ann.
absolutely for
It's
real.
more a booklet than a pamphlet.
Booklet.
I'd say booklet.
We got the email yesterday after the show that we all received our pamphlets on words, hurt, and harm, and I was like, oh, my God. There's tomorrow's show.
It's got staples. It's a booklet.
That's right.
Pamphlets
absolutely
are
ridiculous.
folded.
Of course it's ridiculous.
Of course it is.
Written by a bunch of dopey white lawyers.
They're completely
What
out
do
of
you expect?
touch. They make a ton of money from this company, and they got to justify their worth.
Of course they do. They're not. They're looking at this this booklet is part of getting the kids, the last kid's college tuition paid off.
Right.
And they
Some
know
genuine thought in this.
All right.
nothing about comedy. Nothing.
So, Jimmy, go with the highlighted boldface.
This is the end of the booklet, guys.
This is it right here. Last paragraph.
Creative on-air talent can and should entertain and be humorous without having to use comedy as a vehicle to denigrate other people. I don't know if I agree with that, because when you see somebody in a wheelchair or somebody who's retarded, how do you not want to denigrate them and then laugh about it with all your healthy friends after? That's
In
just me.
humor.
Comedy's based on some horrific things
course
at
it
times,
is.
Yep.
man.
Normally.
It just is.
On-air talent have a special and unique obligation
We're obligated.
because of their standing in the community not to offend their listeners.
When did that happen?
I don't know.
When all of a sudden did we have this obligation not to offend people? We can offend people. Anything we say on a daily basis, no matter what subject matter we cover, is going to offend somebody out there. Believe me.
Yeah.
We've been in this long enough to know we could talk about any subject matter. Someone's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Someone ain't going to like it.
Yeah.
So you know what you do? You go about your business. We do what we do. We make fun of whatever we make fun of, and try to eke out a good show on a daily basis.
And might I ask the dirty out of touch lawyers, what about the obligation of the listeners to use their own brains and to not pretend to be offended by humor just so they have some sense of empowerment and they have something to talk about and they can latch onto something and be angry? What about their responsibility? We all have one vote, stupid asses.
All right, so you got that. All right, the power of the media is immense. Use it wisely to avoid perpetuating stereotypes that can lead to further prejudice, discrimination, and hate, and to challenge the minds of your listeners to open up their thinking to new perceptions of the people in their community.
That's right. So we
Haram.
apologize for all of our black lawyer jokes and Jewish NBA stereotyping.
Right.
I've been doing it for years. And I'm sorry that I've accused all you Asians of being extraordinarily well endowed.
And
My fault.
And we have to sign,
Never happen again.
and now we have to sign to show that we read the pamphlet from the lawyers.
Oh, I'm keeping this one. I'm not ripping up this gem.
There
it is.
There's me signing
There you
your
go.
stupid.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
But Anthony, it's all over the floor.
There you go. Pick
There
it
you
up.
go.
Now clean it up.
There's
Be a
your,
lawyer like your father.
that's what I think of your pamphlet.
Clean it up, you spoiled brat of indiscriminate ethnic origin.
But not Italian.
All right.
That was fun.
Oh, wow. We wanted to do like maybe 15 minutes, half hour on that.
Hour,
at the most.
40 minutes tops. Yeah, you know.
And
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah.